Imagine spotting a perfectly seaworthy ship drifting silently across the Atlantic Ocean. Its sails are still raised. Its cargo is untouched. The captain's belongings remain inside. A meal appears to have been prepared, yet there isn't a single person on board. No signs of a struggle, no bodies, no message explaining what happened. It's as if every soul aboard simply vanished. This is the true story of the Mary Celeste, one of history's greatest maritime mysteries. More than 150 years later, no one knows for certain why 10 people disappeared from a perfectly good ship, leaving behind a mystery that continues to puzzle historians. Welcome to Echoes, history they never taught us. Today we're exploring one of the strangest events ever recorded at sea. A ship discovered floating alone, a crew that vanished without a trace, and clues that only make the mystery even deeper. Let's step back to the year 1872. The Mary Celeste was an American merchant ship built to cross the Atlantic, carrying cargo between Europe and North America. On November 7, 1872, she departed New York Harbor under the command of Captain Benjamin Briggs. Briggs wasn't an inexperienced sailor. He had spent years at sea and was respected for both his skill and careful judgment. This journey was different from many others because he chose to bring his wife, Sarah, and their 2-year-old daughter, Sophia, with him. The ship also carried 7 experienced crew members. Their cargo consisted of more than 1,100 barrels of industrial alcohol destined for Italy. The weather at departure was considered favorable. Nothing suggested the voyage would become one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. As the Mary Celeste disappeared over the horizon, everyone expected her to arrive safely in Europe within a few weeks. She never did. Nearly a month later, another merchant ship called the Dei Gratia was sailing near the Azores Islands. Its crew noticed a vessel moving strangely. It wasn't following a normal course. It seemed to drift aimlessly. The captain ordered his crew to investigate. As they climbed aboard, they expected to greet fellow sailors. Instead, silence. The deck was empty. The cabins were deserted. No captain, no crew, no family. The only sounds came from the ocean and the creaking wood beneath their feet. It looked as though everyone had disappeared in an instant. Yet the ship itself remained surprisingly intact. There was enough food and fresh water for months. The cargo was still largely untouched. Personal belongings were scattered throughout the cabins. Even valuable items, including money and jewelry, had been left behind. If pirates had attacked, why leave everything of value? If there had been mutiny, where had everyone gone? Nothing seemed to make sense. Investigators searched the vessel for answers. Some clues stood out immediately. The ship's lifeboat was missing. One navigation instrument was gone. The final entry in the captain's log was several days old. There was a small amount of water in the ship's hold, but nowhere near enough to sink it. One of the pumps wasn't working perfectly. Several ropes appeared to have been cut. None of these clues alone explained why everyone abandoned a ship that was still capable of sailing. The cargo raised another interesting possibility. Industrial alcohol gives off highly flammable vapors. Some historians believe fumes may have escaped from a few leaking barrels. Captain Briggs might have feared an explosion. If he believed the ship was moments away from erupting into flames, he may have ordered everyone into the lifeboat while staying connected by rope. If the rope snapped, the Mary Celeste would continue drifting. The lifeboat would be left behind on the open sea, but no evidence has ever confirmed this theory. Over the decades, countless explanations have been suggested. Some believed pirates attacked, but pirates almost always steal valuables. Everything valuable remained. Others suggested mutiny. Yet Captain Briggs was respected by his crew, and there was no sign of violence anywhere aboard. Some pointed to a giant wave, sometimes called a rogue wave. A massive wall of water could have frightened the crew into temporarily abandoning ship. Others proposed waterspouts, seaquakes, or sudden storms. There were even theories involving sea monsters and supernatural forces. In modern times, scientists have recreated small alcohol vapor explosions that produce a loud blast without leaving burn marks. Such an event could have terrified experienced sailors into believing the ship was about to explode. Even this explanation leaves unanswered questions. Why didn't they return? Why was no trace of the lifeboat ever found? History has remained stubbornly silent. The Mary Celeste eventually reached port after being sailed there by the crew of the Dei Gratia. Instead of praise, suspicion followed. Some accused the rescuers of murdering everyone for salvage money. Official investigations found no evidence to support those accusations. Captain Benjamin Briggs had a reputation for honesty. His crew was carefully selected. No convincing motive has ever explained why every person would disappear while leaving behind a ship that could still sail. More than a century and a half later, historians continue to debate the evidence. Every new theory solves one piece of the puzzle while creating another. Perhaps the truth was carried away by the waves long ago. The Mary Celeste reminds us that history isn't made up only of kings, wars, and famous battles. Sometimes the greatest mysteries are found drifting alone across an empty ocean. A ship with no crew, a missing family, and questions that remain unanswered after more than 150 years. What do you think happened aboard the Mary Celeste? If you enjoy the forgotten mysteries of history, subscribe to Echoes, History They Never Taught Us.